All right, let's dive into a story that is seriously chilling. It's supposedly based on a real-life incident, told from the perspective of a young park ranger whose dream job in the middle of nowhere, well, it turned into an absolute nightmare. Right from the start, the guy at the center of all this, Jack Nelson, he knew his story sounded, well, completely unbelievable. His own words here really set the stage for a tale that just walks that thin, creepy line between a simple prank and something much, much darker. So our story kicks off with 24-year-old Jack Nelson. He's just landed a new gig as a park ranger way out in the remote Ironbark State Park. It's the kind of job that guarantees total solitude, but, that level of isolation can really start to play tricks on your mind. So, to be clear, as a fire lookout, Jack's whole world was basically this tiny room perched on stilts, high above a massive forest. His only job? Stare at the horizon and watch for smoke. I mean, it's a role that requires you to be alone, but this is a whole other level of isolation that would test pretty much anyone. Jack's very first day starts with this weird encounter. He meets another ranger, a guy named Billy, at the main gate, and the friendly welcome he gets comes with this really specific piece of advice that just feels off. Stay away from the north. Simple as that. Now, the official reason he gives is bobcats and bears, but the warning just feels heavier than that. And this one simple rule, it's about to become the absolute center of all the terrifying things that are about to happen. So, Jack gets settled into his new home in the sky, and at first, it's all peaceful. But as soon as night falls over Ironbark, that silence gets replaced by something else, something way more unsettling. It's almost like the woods themselves are whispering. So the real question becomes, right, is this just the isolation getting to him? Is his mind playing tricks on him? Or was there really something sinister hiding in those trees right below his tower? Well, the evidence starts to pile up almost right away. On his very first night, bam, a flashlight beam cuts through the pitch-black darkness at 3:30 in the morning. The next night, his only radio contact, Connor, calls in about smoke coming from that forbidden northern area. So Jack goes to check it out, and what he finds is a campsite just abandoned. Tents are up, food's still out, like the people there just vanished. And then he hears it, a blood-curdling scream echoing through the forest. You can just imagine walking back to the tower in total darkness. Jack is just completely overwhelmed by this feeling of pure dread. This isn't just a spooky forest anymore. This feels like a place where people disappear. Okay, so this is the point where things go from kind of creepy to downright terrifying. That vague, distant feeling that something's wrong, it's about to become a very direct, very personal threat. Whatever is out there in the woods is done hiding. Jack finally gets back to his tower, his one safe place in the middle of all this, but it turns out he's not alone. Someone or something has been there, and they left him a message. And we're not talking about simple graffiti here. This was a ritualistic drawing of a goat's head on his window, with 3 lit candles placed right at the base. I mean, come on, this was no teenage prank. It was a clear, symbolic warning. He was being watched, and they wanted him to know it. And then, just as he's trying to wrap his head around that, the mystery gets even deeper. A man named Silas just appears out of the dark, claiming to be doing maintenance on a radio tower nearby. He's talking in riddles, saying things like, some fires are meant to burn. But when Jack asks Connor about this Silas guy, the truth is just bone-chilling. That radio tower has been abandoned for years. So who or what was Silas? And this right here brings us to the absolute climax of Jack's ordeal. All the weird warnings, the whispers, the symbols, it's all about to come to a head in a terrifying confrontation that turns Jack from an observer into the one being hunted. It all starts, yet again, with smoke, coming from that same forbidden direction, north of his tower. Only this time, Jack is determined to get a closer look, to finally understand what is really going on in his forest. And what he sees is just pure nightmare fuel. Through his binoculars, he sees these figures in robes down in a clearing. They're doing some kind of ritual around a huge fire, and they're burning something that looks horrifyingly like a person. He knows no one will believe him, so he grabs his camera for proof. He lines up the shot, snaps a picture, and he forgets to turn off the flash. In that one single blinding flash of light, everything changes. He goes from being a hidden spectator to being the absolute center of their attention. The ritual just stops. And in this perfect, horrifying unison, every single one of those robed figures turns their head, looks directly up at his tower, and then they just start sprinting towards him. The hunt is on. He hears the wood of the tower door just splinter and break. He hears footsteps thundering up the stairs. They're inside his only sanctuary, and they are coming for him. He has no choice but to run for his life. So Jack somehow miraculously makes it out of there alive. But his escape from the woods is really just the beginning of a whole different kind of horror. The horror of having nobody believe you. He manages to scramble out of the tower, just sprinting blindly through the dark back to his RV. He slams it into gear and floors it, not even looking back, driving like a madman to the nearest ranger station to report what he just saw. So Jack tells them this insane story of a violent cult, a ritual, and a desperate fight for his life. The official investigation, though, they found, and I quote, no signs of misconduct. His entire traumatic experience was just written off as a hallucination, a product of isolation. After being completely shut down by his bosses, and even his family, Jack never went back. He couldn't. The psychological scars were just too deep. The forest that was meant to be his peaceful retreat had become this place of permanent terror in his mind. And the story ends with this direct, chilling warning from Jack himself. So what really happened out there in the Ironbark woods? Was it all just a product of extreme isolation, or did he actually stumble upon something ancient and truly evil? The official report might be closed, but for anyone who hears his story, the question, it definitely remains.